Have you ever taken a moment to look closely at what the Bible actually says about the earth?
Most of us have heard interpretations from pastors, from scholars, maybe from family. But how often do we just look at the words themselves, on their own terms? When you take the time to look directly at the text of Scripture, something surprising tends to happen.
You start to notice a pattern. There are so many passages that describe the earth in very specific, very literal terms. And we're not talking about just a handful of verses or some small, isolated cluster of ideas.
No, we're talking about over 200 distinct verses.
Well, there's a book that has gathered every single one of these verses together, all in one place. The whole purpose of this book, 200 Bible Verses Proving a Flat Stationary Earth, is to let you see the full, unfiltered picture for yourself.
So, let's look at just a few of the themes that appear again and again.
Okay, one major theme is this idea of a fixed world. Psalm 93 verse 1 says, "The world also is established, that it cannot be moved."
And other passages, well, they go even further, describing the earth as having a firm, established foundation. And this isn't just a one-off mention, You see this idea repeated in places like 1 Chronicles, echoing the exact same concept.
Some verses get even more detailed, describing the earth's structure with things like pillars and corners. For instance, 1 Samuel speaks of the world being set on pillars, and then in Revelation you have the mention of the 4 corners of the earth.
Now, it's really important to see that these aren't isolated statements. They appear throughout the entire biblical narrative. From Genesis all the way through the historical books to the prophets, the Gospels, and right to the end, in Revelation. The language just stays remarkably consistent.
And all that consistency, well, it leads to a very real and pretty significant question.
Think about it. On the one hand, modern science teaches that we live on a spinning sphere that's moving through space. But on the other hand, a plain, literal reading of these verses paints a very, very different picture.
So that raises the big question, right? Why is there such a dramatic difference between what we're all taught in school and what Scripture actually says?
Now, the goal here isn't to force an answer on you, not at all. It's simply to encourage you to look at the verses for yourself, directly, plainly, with no filters.
Because really, at the end of the day, it all just comes down to this one simple question.
Have you ever actually read all of these passages together at the same time?
If you do want to explore every one of the 200-plus verses for yourself, the full collection is available right now.
The invitation here is a very simple one. Read the verses, compare them, and just see what Scripture says. It might change more than you expect.
This book is available now on Amazon. All you have to do is search for the title, 200 Bible Verses Proving a Flat Stationary Earth.
Remember, I'm not just a book. I'm the book. Get your copy today before I start signing autographs.